Today, I really want to touch upon this topic that I really seldom talk about. It's personal finance. Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. It's Lydia here. So if you're new to this channel, I just usually share some of the things that I used to change my lifestyle in the past several years by building a healthy routine, by going to the gym, by reading books. And occasionally and more often, I share a lot of my vlogs and I go to new restaurants, and so I do hope that you enjoy it. If you're new to this channel, welcome, and if you're not new, welcome back. Today I really want to touch upon this topic that I really seldom talk about. It's personal finance. As somebody who has working in the financial industry for the past 8 years, I still wish that I have somebody who could have told me those things when I was in my early 20s, when I just started my career. A huge disclaimer, this is by no means any type of financial advice here. It's just my personal experience, and the failures, please don't take it as financial advice by any shape or form, and just use your own judgment for your own situation. With that in mind, let's get started. A lot of my younger friends ask me the same question over and over again. How do you manage your time? How do you manage your expense? How come I just feel like I don't have enough money to spend? All of these actually boils down to the very foremost question of how would you do when you first get your paycheck? So today's video, I'm going to talk about a very simple system that I wish I know when I start my career. I summarized this system from a book that I read. If you wanted to jump to the part that I talk about this system, please feel free, because I will leave timestamp down there. Before that, I do think that we need to talk about this book. It's a book that I recently read. It's a New York Times bestseller. I Will Teach You to Be Rich. It's written by Ramit Sethi. He also have a show on Netflix. It's the same name. This one I just find is particularly simple to follow, and it gives you week by week program and break it down to the bottom that what you can do. I think it's the simplest one for anyone who hasn't really looked into their personal finance properly, even for somebody who just want a refresher and somebody just to remind them, hey, by the way, you can do things in this way. What I like the most is the very simple automatic system that creates an abundance mindset about if you follow this system, you can actually create this abundance mindset no matter how much you earn. This thesis is really about how you can really enjoy the things that you love the most if you set up your system correct. This system, he called it the conscious spending plan. It's on chapter 8, page 375. Percentage by percentage, and depending on how much you earn, but you put a certain amount of percentage. For example, you want to have like 50 to 60% of fixed cost, 10% investment, 5 to 10% savings, and then at the end of the day, you have the guilt-free spending amount. At the beginning of the book and each chapter, it talks through all of these items. Now, everybody's situation is different. We're just gonna talk about how to set up the system, because I did that for myself after I read this book. I tried to summarize it and improve it a little bit. I call it the personal finance waterfall. Finance waterfall is a concept in the finance world. It's a waterfall payment structure. Usually they use to work out how you want to pay your different creditors, like pay the people that you owe money to. I think it's very useful to borrow that concept to manage your own personal finance, because you have money in every month, and depending on how you want to manage your money out, you can actually set up this waterfall system, just a way to pay yourself from the most important thing first, and then have your spending calculated, and left with whatever left, it's a guilt-free spending. Once you set up the system, you know that everything's being taken care of. You'll be able to really look at your spending and see that this month I can spend this amount of money. So here you look at it. I have already set up this easy to use Excel. You look at your monthly spending. From the very top, it's your salary, how much you're going to get. It all starts from a conversation that I had yesterday with my friend. He's basically like, oh, I'm going to get this amount of money every month. How come I don't really have any savings? And I was like, how are you going to manage your personal finance? And that's how we have this conversation. I think usually people don't really look at their day-to-day spending, because maybe for most of the people, if you're really young, you're like, this is the first time I actually earn a paycheck, and you'll be like, oh, I'm actually earning money now, so I don't really care because it's a lot of money. It's the first time I have earned anything. But all of those small expenses actually add up a lot. So let's just look at it as an example. So how it's set up is, this is how much amount you get every month after everything is taken away from you, like pension, tax, and everything. Depending on where you are, in the UK, usually the tax and the pension are taken away before you receive your salary. So let's say you're somebody who's 25 years old, just graduated from university or from your master degree, you get a job like a knowledge worker in a tech company or somewhere, like you have 3,500 per month. Starting from the salary, we also have the spending goal. The spending goal is actually from this book, so I have put them here as your fixed cost. Let's say you have around 60 to 70%. I have linked it to the personal finance waterfall, so you actually add up all of your fixed costs, which means that you actually have to pay it. It's like, otherwise you go to negative, so it's not very good. What you can actually adjust here is actually the investment percentage out of your salary that you receive every month. Usually the consensus is you should at least set aside 5 to 10% for your investment and then 5% for your savings, depending on your own situation, personal preference. If you're really young, maybe you wanted to put it as investments, depending on your own situation. What do you want to do with your investment? You have 10% here. I set out as 10%. This is for you to input. You can also put it as 7% or 8%. The savings, you can put 5%, 6%, that's up to you. What it does is, at the end, it will come out an amount for your guilt-free spending. So your guilt-free spending should be everything after your fixed costs, after your savings, and after your investment. And after all of those is taken care of, you'll be like, yes, I only left with 385 per month for my guilt-free spending, but it's pretty liberating because you know that you can just spend those money. Let's look at it in detail. What do I mean by personal finance waterfall? Once we have those spending goals, we do it in a way that how do you want to pay yourself to different accounts by sequence. If I'm in my early 20s and just start my career, I really would want to set aside some kind of savings every month. Life is very unpredictable. You never know what's gonna happen tomorrow. So it's always good to have some kind of savings. Even though it's 100 pounds or something. What I did here is I first set aside the savings, and it's linked to your spending goal, so you don't need to do anything here. And it's also automatically calculated by your percentage here. So if we change it back to investment as 10%, your savings as 5%, all of these highlighted cells are actually the inputs that you can put according to your own scenario. Let's say in London, if you have a flatmate, roughly you're going to pay 1,500 or 1,600 per month for your rent. So I put that in. You can also be like 1,600. Weekday on food. The reason why I separated between weekdays and weekend is because usually from day to day on weekdays, usually you're just working, and maybe you'll be cooking at home. You wouldn't really eat out that much. I put 400 here. I think it's on the higher end. It means that you have 20 pounds per day for all the work days. From Monday to Friday is 20 days. But you can obviously adjust it. You can do it as 350. It's also fine. And then you have your weekend spending on food. That including eating out. So if you say that, oh, I'm really frugal from Monday to Friday, I don't really care, you can put this into 300, and you can put more for your weekday spending on food. But this is just an assumption. Depending on your own scenario, you can also look at your own credit card and really come up with a very thoughtful spending tracker and your expense, and then reassess it. We need to spend on transportation. Depending on where you are in London, I feel like the transportation is really expensive. I put 100 here. You can obviously put more depending on what kind of situation you are in, and everybody's different. And then your utility is also something that you have to pay. Coffee for me is a definitely fixed cost. I need a coffee every day in the morning, at least one. Fitness and personal development for me is also kind of like a fixed cost. I think it's very crucial that you look after your health and look after how you want to gain knowledge, and that's why I put 100 here. You could, if you say that, oh, I really care about this, I want to have 150, and then you maybe don't need that much of coffee, you can put 25, or let's go back to the beginning, it's 50, this is 100. According to this book, you should also set aside some kind of amount for mistakes. Mistakes as if like have some unexpected amount to spend. So that's mistakes, that's kind of like a fixed cost. So I put 75 here. After I change several of the items here, if you go back to the spending goals, I have linked the fixed costs to all of these. Now your fixed cost is almost 80%. what happened is at the end, you will find that your guilt-free spending is only 7% left, which means you have 250. So 250 is really not a lot. What you want to do is, at this case, you want to reassess your spending. Like, is it really that you have to spend 400 on weekend entertainment and food, or you can actually cut it down by a little bit? You actually have more guilt-free spending. If you're paying way too much for your rent, this example, you're paying, let's say you pay 1,500, that's 43% of your entire paycheck. I think it's a struggle for people who just start working, because I definitely had that when I was first starting working in Hong Kong, one of the most expensive city in the world, I think, for people who live there. My rent is definitely very high compared to my own monthly salary. But I think those situations, if you don't really care about a very luxurious lifestyle, the situation can change. But it's very important to keep in mind what's most important for you. For my own situation, my rent really didn't increase that much, despite that with your experience and your career, your monthly salary will actually go up. Really pick the one that what do you want to do with your money and reassess it, and then maybe you can cut down some coffee spending. Do you actually need to have 3 cups of coffee every day, or you just replace 1 coffee with a walk or with a green tea in the office? We'll change the weekend spending on food to only 250. After I changed this, and all of a sudden your guilt-free spending jumped to 14% of your total salary every month. It becomes 500. And then on this side, you can easily see what's your biggest spending amount. This is actually on all of your money out. You spend basically 50% of your money out on your rent and other stuff like tax, insurance, mortgages. It's a good way just to look at how much money that you spend. I will put this template completely free on a link down below, and then this is on Apple. I will also put it as an Excel format so then more people can use it. I hope it's a shorter version of video that really clearly tell you how you could actually set up your personal finance waterfall. Again, this is not financial advice, just personal experience I wish somebody had told me. If you want to see more videos like this, please feel free to leave a message below and let me know what do you think. If you like this video, please drop a like and really help more people to discover this channel and share with your friends and family. I really appreciate your help and support. I'm still learning a lot about how to manage my personal finance and how to manage my own life. Every single day I learn something new, and hopefully can share with you more in the future here. And I'll see you next time.